Welcome to Vialet Studio, where Vialet and her guests share stories of their passions, inspirations, and spiritual journeys. Vialet creates a sacred and fun space for individuals to be able to share information about themselves, their work, and their community. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet. Vialet Rain.
Well, I would like to welcome everyone to Vialet Studio. I'm so excited today. I have Miss Linda, and I always say Miss because I'm from the South. So hopefully people understand that. So he's been kind of my way to do that. She's written this beautiful book called Modern Dream Work. And as you can see, I've tabbed it. And what I find fascinating, and I want to share a little bit about me before we get started, is I've always told everybody for years and years and years, I never remember my dreams. I never remember my dreams. And if you're spiritual, you know that you create your own reality. So if I never remember my dreams, guess what? I never remember my dreams. However, since reading her book, which I absolutely love and would recommend, I'm fascinated with it, I have started remembering my dreams. And the key that I think was in here is you have to set that intention that you want to remember your dreams or what's coming up, and take that moment when you wake up to really think about it. Because if we ignore that, it's kind of gone. It's like in those seconds that you really grasp what you dreamed or what came up in the middle of the night. So I love this concept. So I'm so excited to get to talk to Linda today. She also does dream circles. I'd never heard of dream circles till I got to chat with her. So we get to find out all about her book, Dream Circles, and all what got her to doing this. So Miss Linda, share with us a little bit your journey. What got you to here and what your background is and how you found your way into dreams.
Oh, thanks. So nice to be here with you today, Violet. I think for me, it actually started when I was a kid. You know, I was always one of those kids who was interested in the esoteric and in the spirit world and in the beyond. And I, was attracted to that from a pretty young age. And I had a few experiences off and on in my adolescence and young adulthood where I had that sense of being at one with nature or at one with some divine source and spirit in the universe. And I would dream occasionally when I was a kid, but it wasn't that big of a part of my life. But I remember when I was about 21, I graduated college and I went with my girlfriend to Europe and we were in Greece. And I remember walking around on the land and I remember this feeling as I was standing in the sort of sacred, belly button of the world, one of the sacred spots in our world, of feeling the rocks breathing. And I always remember, and I can bring myself there right now, and feeling the rocks breathing. And then I knew, like sort of viscerally, there was more to our existence in life than, human or living life forms separated from inanimate objects, that we're all sort of at one. So that kind of got filed. Then I spent 5 years living in Israel. I was on a kibbutz and I studied and I worked and I started my professional career there in therapy, and I was doing street work with teenage girls there for quite some time. Came back to the Boston area and finished my graduate degree here. And I started doing dream work by accident, actually. A friend of mine from my dance community, it's called Dance New England, and it's throughout it's actually got places all over the world right now, but it's really centered in New England. That's where it started. She said, I'm coming up from New York City. I don't miss anything about New York. I'm so tired of the big city. I'm moving to Boston. The only thing I miss is my dream circle, speaking of dream circles. So she said, will you join my dream circle? I'm going to make one in Boston. And I said, sure. And the next thing I said was, what's a dream circle? So there was something in me that knew to say yes, even before I actually knew 100% what it was. And she explained that a dream circle is where a group of people get together And basically you talk about your dreams. You work with each other, you share dreams, you help figure out what the dreams are about, what the meaning is, what they're connected to. And then ultimately the final step in doing dream work is what action do we need to take in our lives given the dream that we had and the messages that have come through to us. So that was how I got started. And then we read books and we went to workshops, and then I joined IASD, which is the International Association for the Study of Dreams. And they've been my sort of, group mentor. And I've been, teaching and sharing dream work with them for, I don't know, probably 20 years now. So that's the journey in a nutshell.
I love that. I love that. And you've had a dream circle for a long time. What did you say? How long have you had a dream circle going with the same group of people?
Yeah, good memory. I've been meeting with the same group of people for over 30 years. Wow. I know. It's great. And then so that's my personal dream circle. And then I run also professional dream circles. And it's my sort of long-term ongoing group where people, it's what's called a closed group. We max at 6, and then I close the door so we have enough room for people to really work on their dreams in the time allotted. And people stay for varying lengths of time, depending on their life circumstances and their interests. But that one has been ongoing without a break as people come and go for a good 20, 25 years as well.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So do you think it's important that the same group kind of stay together versus having a dream circle and people come and go every month or every week and it changes? Do you need a little bit of consistency to really dig into your dreams?
It's a really good question. There's no right or wrong. And the dream circles will vary according to who's coming, their level of interest, their commitment, and how they're connected to each other. So among other things, I'm a group worker. I taught clinical group work at Boston University School of Social Work for like 15, 20 years. So I'm really attentive to the dynamics of the group itself as well. And there are lots of different styles of group, and some styles of this group where it's a closed group, the same people come every week. And the advantage of that is you get to know each other really well. You get to develop a deep intimacy and a trust, because sharing your dreams is a pretty intimate thing to do if you think about it. And you also get to know each other's stories and patterns, so that when you're making hypotheses or associations to other people's dreams, if you know them and you know something about their life, you have a starting out point. You have a context to say, well, in your dream, you dreamt about this, and if it were my dream, it would remind me of this thing you told us, last week, or this circumstance in your life that you've been living through. Do you think it's connected? And I can't do that if I don't know the person.
Right.
So there's an advantage there. But on the other hand, it's perfectly fine to have an open-ended circle where people come and go. Then ideally, though, there would be a facilitator who helps to hold the container of the group, so people are respectful, people sort of follow the rules. There aren't a lot of rules, but the biggest one is confidentiality. And that people don't tell each other what their dreams mean. I'm not here to tell you what your dream means. I'm here to help you figure it out. And I might have associations or impressions or ideas, but I'm offering them in the spirit of a question, not a definitive answer. So as long as people kind of adhere to the few rules really of dream groups, when people come and go, sometimes that's makes a group very alive, because there's like fresh blood all the time. So it sort of depends on what your needs are, what your desires are, who comes, who's in your area, who's interested. I just taught a class. I just finished teaching a 6-week, it was a Zoom class, dreaming through the lens of Kabbalah. So I taught the 6-week class on dreaming through a Kabbalistic framework, and one woman in the class said, this was great, I want to have a dream circle in my life. So she got together 6 people, and they just hired me to be a facilitator for them. So I'm going to meet with them online once a month to help them get started. And I don't know how often they're going to meet, but I'm going to meet with them once a month for, I don't know, a couple of months, and then we'll see what happens there. So there are all different ways to do this.
Well, I would really like to start one too, and find some framework to get one started. And I don't know what that looks like, because I teach a lot of classes and I do a lot of events, but I think I'd like to start a dream circle during the day. We've been trying to get interest during the day for people that would gather during the daytime instead of the evening, like 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and try to build some activity in my center during the day. And I know it'll take me a little while to get people that are available and interested, but I would love ideas where I can find some framework and start it, because this is all new to me, but I'm very fascinated.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so
During the day, during the week is a hard time to get people to come in, I imagine. So depending on the age and the level of employment and child care and all those things needed, it might be a little tricky. But you know your audience. I don't know who the people are out there. Are you in Boulder, is it?
no, we're in Littleton, Denver, but our center
Littleton.
has a lot of activities of a night and the weekends because
Right.
people are working and they come.
That's right.
But there are a lot of people that are retired. There are a lot of people working from home that would like a break in the middle of the day. There's a
That's
lot
a
of
very good
people
point.
that are stay-at-home moms, that their kids go to school and look for stuff, or there are people that work odd shifts that
That's right.
daytime kind of works. And so I'm really trying to build that interest. So I may try this and see what happens with it and give it.
You might even have when my daughter was little and she went to preschool, there were different amounts of time people could go for the day, and one time frame was they called it the lunch bunch. So the kids would stay and have lunch together and then go home. So you might even think about like a lunch bunch. People have
Yeah,
to eat every day, bring their snacks, offer them tea, and have a dream circle.
I think that would be fun. I'm going to try. You've encouraged me.
Oh, yay.
I'm going to jump out there and try it. So talk to us a little bit, Miss Linda, about your book, The Modern Dream Work. You know, it talks about in here purpose and healing and creative insights. And most people don't think a lot about their dreams, but what you talk about is they do have purpose and message and healing there. So share with us a little bit your insights about dreams and how they can help us.
Great, thank you. So dreams have a number of different purposes and functions, and one of them is simply sort of a memory consolidation function. It takes the events that we've experienced during the day and kind of helps sorts them out, right? It consolidates the memories, puts some into long-term storage in our long-term memory, puts some in our short-term memory, and then it kind of also decides, this one I can prune, right? Because we all have a sort of a finite number of neural networks in our brain. They're very, very large number, but we always are going through a process of growing new ones and pruning old ones away that are less important for our lives. So dream work helps us in this process it's like, I almost think of it as gardening in our brain, like it sort of weeds some of the weeds out and puts a little more fertilizer on the plants we want to nurture. And another metaphor that someone once used was that our dreams help do like a rinsing process of our body minds at night. We kind of rinse through and clean out anything we don't really need to keep, and then hang on to what we do. So that's one purpose and function of dreams. This is sort of memory consolidation. And then other purposes and functions of dreams have to do with creativity. You've heard the expression, I'm sure everybody has heard, oh, let me sleep on it. And then you wake up in the morning and you've actually got something. Well, it's really true that when you sleep, you have access to different parts of your brain than you do when you're awake. So some parts of your brain go offline, others go more online, so that you get to access some creative parts of your brain while you're sleeping and dreaming that you wouldn't have had access to in your waking life. So if you can automatically just have a dream where you get a creative impulse for something, you can also invite your dreams to share information with you through a process called dream incubation. And if you're incubating a dream, you can go, before you go to sleep at night, write down a question, a problem, an issue, a dilemma. It could be a problem you want to solve. It could be a creative block you're painting a painting, you're writing a book, you're trying to dream up how to start a dream circle, what would be the best way to do it. So you could even take your question about, gee, I'd like to start a dream circle in my community. What would be the best ideal way for me to manifest this and make this happen? I mean, you can make up, that's just like an approximate thing. You write that down in your journal at night. You wake up in the morning, you'll have a dream. Now, you might not have one the very first night, but if you keep at it and you keep your journal there, you'll get a dream that you remember. And you write it down on the same page as you've written your question. And somewhere in the dream will be the answer to your question. Wow. It might be blatant, it might be like right out there, or you might have to peel back the layers and sort of interpret and unpack the dream to find out what it means through associations. But you can get the answers to your questions in your dream. So here's another function, which is problem solving as well.
I love that. I love that, because I've noticed sometimes I feel like I've worked all night working on something, working on some solution or problem. Keep processing all these different options of what that looks like. And I wake up and I'm like, wow, I worked all night long in my sleep, right? But I've found that that's always really helpful, because it gives us lots of really great information. What I love about your book is you give us steps and exercises and ways to really incorporate and work with our dreams. And so talk to us a little bit about some of your approaches you have in the book.
Okay, thank you. So the overarching approach I call integrated embodied dream work, because we are not just brains and we're not just bodies, but we're an integrated full body, mind, spirit system. So in my therapy work, as well as in my dream work, I use a multiplicity of approaches that incorporates our thinking self, our emotional self, our physical bodies, as well as our spiritual self. So when I'm doing dream work with people, I'm also attending to those layers of being as we look through the dream. And I'll ask people not only about, tell me the storyline of the dream, and let's look at the images in the dream, but I'll also invite people to really pay attention to the emotional story of the dream. The emotional story is actually where the pay dirt is, if you will, that makes it your dream as opposed to anybody else's dream, and makes it relevant for your life as opposed to somebody else's life. So if I'm dreaming of a leopard, let's say, I might feel thrilled and delighted that one of my totem animals had come and visited me in my dream. And then, so my emotional story would be, I'm excited and happy. Somebody else will have a dream of a leopard and they say, oh my God, this is a ferocious wild beast. He's going to tear me to pieces. And their emotional story in the same dream will be fear and terror and panic. So those are two very different dreams, even though the central image of the leopard was the same image. So we're paying attention to that emotional story as well. And when we're working with dreams and with nightmares as well, the emotional story and how it evolves both in the dream and over time through subsequent dreams gives us a barometer about how we're healing in our life. So if we're struggling with nightmares and we have dreams that are frightening and scary and we're overwhelmed or we're being chased or there's danger, we want to look at two trajectories to see how we're doing with healing, whatever the root cause of that nightmare is. One trajectory is the individual dream itself, the beginning, the middle, and the end. How are you feeling at the end of the dream compared to the beginning? Are you feeling better, worse, or the same? So you can say, okay, if you're feeling better, you know that your dreaming function, your dreaming self organically is helping you work out whatever the issue, the trauma, the loss, the upset was that generated the nightmare. If you're not feeling better, or if you're feeling worse, then your body-mind system needs to get a little help kicking into gear to activate your healing. So that's where you work yourself or with other people or with a dream circle or with a professional therapist, depending on the nature of the dreams and nightmares and the nature of the trauma. Because the goal is you want to see a progression of nightmares that get less upsetting, get less frequent, get less vivid, and ultimately either fade out or become transformed into something positive. That's when you know you're making headway in healing in your life. So that's actually, it's on my mind, Violet, because I'm actually right now writing another book. And the title of the book I'm writing now is PTS Dreams. And then the subtitle is New Tools for Transforming Your Nightmares into Healing. And that'll be coming out sometime next year. I'm going to be with Llewellyn again. Llewellyn is going to publish that, so that's been accepted. So I'm thick in the world of nightmares and nightmare healing right now as I'm working on this other book.
Wow, how exciting is that? How exciting is that? I look forward to seeing that. You mentioned as we got on here that you had a dream around winter solstice that you were willing to share with us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I've been paying a lot of attention because one of the things you may know or maybe not, but since COVID hit, since this pandemic, there's not only been a pandemic of the coronavirus, but there has been a pandemic of dreams and nightmares. The people have been having nightmares sort of through the roof, and it's been talked about all through the dream communities, and Popular Science had an article about it. Psychology Today had an article about it. I think the Huffington Post wrote something about it. It's been up as a conversation because everyone in the world has been in such a state of overwhelm with dealing with not only the pandemic, but all the other issues in our life that have been going on in this very challenging year that we've just passed. So I've been noticing that both for myself, for my clients, for my friends, for other people. So I track my dreams, and I'm not someone, luckily, who tends to have nightmares very often. So there's actually two dreams I'll share. So the first one was sometime back in November, and I woke up going with like a sense of panic, and that was it. There was no content, there was no image, there was no story. It was just that emotional sense. And I knew exactly what it was when I woke up. It's like, oh my God, this is just that sense of overwhelm of where and how we're living right now in the world. That I was, when we sleep, sometimes our boundaries are thinner and we can, time travel and spirit travel to other places, either on the planet or outside the planet, depending on your worldview. And I was just picking up in my sleep because my boundaries were thinner, the sort of the energy of the planet. So I woke up with that panic. So that was one. And then on the solstice, I was paying a lot of attention to the fact that this was the technical, literal time of the dawning of the age of Aquarius. I think I'm older than you, and I don't know if you were around during Hair, but but you probably remember the play and the song. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. So it takes about 50 years, I guess, for an eon to shift. So we started getting hints of it in the 60s when the Hair was produced. But literally on the solstice this year was when the planetary trajectory shifted and we entered the new age out of Capricorn into Aquarius. And so I was paying a lot of attention to that and really trying to think about the hopefulness of moving forward into this new era. And we have a new government coming in, and we have diversity being honored more than we did before. And a lot of things to hopefully look forward to as the year progresses. So here was the dream I had on the solstice. So at first it's probably me, but I'm like a little tiny figure in a room, almost like a cell, like a jail cell or something, and cold and kind of huddled against the wall, and sort of like that kind of image you might have of someone huddled in despair. And then all of a sudden I look up and there's a beam of light coming through the window. And it's a really, really bright, warm beam of light. And it shines right on me where I'm huddled against the wall. And it's not the me, but it's a little child that I know is me. And the me in the dream stands up, and I sort of raise my arms toward the light, and the light sort of warms me and fills me, and then kind of just lifts me up and transports me on a beam of light out the window and out into the sky.
Wow.
And it's just, even in recounting it now, I can feel the warmth and the hopefulness and the sense of uplift that I got from that dream.
That is really awesome. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
I really do feel like that's what our year's going to be like. I really am hopeful. I know with my intuition and what I'm getting is this is a year of being really hopeful of positive things and some shifts, some really big shifts for us, which I think we've needed for a long time. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens this year. Really hopeful. Last year didn't end well, and we moved in to 2020. My world was kind of upside down. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this year brings for me personally and for the world, and seeing where that goes. So winter solstice was really powerful energy on a lot of scales. I think anybody that is sensitive to energies felt those energies coming in. It was really powerful for all of us.
Yeah.
So I love your dream. I think that's
Thank
beautiful. Beautiful. So I know you're doing lots of stuff on Zoom and classes and that sort of thing. So Miss Linda, if people wanted to get in contact with you and get to really get involved in some of the stuff you're doing, share with us what you offer to folks and what would be available to people that live anywhere that may not live in your neighborhood, but that would love to work with you or learn more.
Oh, thank you. So for starters, feel free to, you can buy my book. You can give it as gifts. I've had a couple, I had a couple people buy, 6 or 7 copies and sort of share them for holiday gifts, which was really lovely. It's a good time to dream. We're in hibernation mode. In the winter, we still have a few more months. It's going to be dark and cold and snowy, depending on where in the world you live. And so it's a good time to do dream work. And I offer consultation in dreaming, sort of like a one-time thing, or a couple of short sessions to review dreams. And I'm happy to help people set up their dream circles, to facilitate dream circles. At this moment, they're online, but we've got the technology now. And I teach dream work classes. As I mentioned before, I just finished teaching a class on dreaming through the lens of Kabbalah. And I can teach a class on any aspect of dream work that someone might be interested if they're more focused. If we want to learn more about healing through dreams, or we want to learn about this, how to Kabbalah and dreams, or we are really interested in how dream work can enhance my creativity, for people who are artists or writers or dancers or theater people. So any sort of subtopic of that, if they wanted to put a group together around that, or an individual consultation, I'm happy to work with people on that.
Well, I love that. And if you're ever in Denver, get close to Denver, please let me know. I would love to see you in person. We do carry your books in our store, so people that are watching that are in Denver or Littleton, you can stop by and pick up the books in the store. We do sell them. It's one of the things that I carry. I love Linda's book, and I tell people about it all the time. I think it's really amazing. And thank you so much for taking the time today, because I know you're doing some R&R and kind of not at home and out taking a little bit of a break. So thanks for making time for us.
Oh, sure. My pleasure.
I wish you a great 2021. I hope it is amazing for you. And I look forward to your book that you're writing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on, Violet. It's been a pleasure meeting you, and I'm sure I'll get back to Colorado at some point, and whenever I do, I'll definitely come by to meet you in person.
I would love that. I would love that. And for our viewers, thank you for watching today. My voice is going in and out today. I don't know what that's about. Maybe just winter, who knows? Allergies, as the trees change, I always seem to get hit. But thanks for watching, and I hope to see you really soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet and how she can help you discover your spiritual gifts, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com and on YouTube at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you really soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.
Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Come experience a difference at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.